The TCG world is ever changing. Let's talk about the current market climate for all these games. Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie, and I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. I hope you had yourself a better weekend than I had. My wife's car broke down. $2,000 to fix a car. Anyway, today what we're going to be doing is going through the kind of market economics and chatting about a few different card games. Going to give you my opinions as a store of where I see these games being currently and what I think they should be doing looking forward. And as I look at these games as a store, what are the things that I'm looking at to see if I should increase my order or lower my order because of what I expect the market to do. So take this for what it is. Don't take it for financial advice or anything. Just take it as my opinion of some of the stuff. So we're going to talk about Magic. We're going to talk about Pokemon. We're going to talk about Sorcery. We're going to talk about Lorcana. We're going to talk about One Piece today. And then we'll talk about like the indie TCG scene a little bit there at the end. So first off, with Magic the Gathering, despite what you may hear on the internet and despite what a lot of the negativity that is constantly going around around Magic the Gathering, I would say that this has been one of Magic the Gathering's best years in the rememberable history. In the last, 5 years, I would say that this 12 months has been one of Magic the Gathering's best years, and that's a huge win. And I think that kind of gets overlooked and overstated. The sets that we have recently have all been super fun, super enjoyable to play. They've added really cool collectible pieces that are, collectible is a strong word. They've added really cool flashy pieces that people like. There's been some good reprints, and the cards have sold really well. The market has been holding up, in my opinion, decently well for Magic the Gathering if you compare it to the last 5 years. Now, we are still in this weird world where you and I are both learning what is Magic the Gathering now. And if you're like me, you're kind of an old boomer, and you're like, I wish Magic was just one booster box. I wish it didn't have Harry Potter in it. I wish that it didn't, I get it, but we're all learning, and I think that right now, Magic's in a really cool spot. You had the Commander Masters absolute failure. That was the big red mark, I would say, for Magic the Gathering on this calendar year. But if you look at Lord of the Rings has been a massive success. And it has, in a lot of ways, proven this idea of Universes Beyond doing what they claimed that it would do, which is bring in new people, bring in people who were outside of the Magic ecosystem. From a storefront perspective, I have seen this happen in my store where people come in, they've never played Magic the Gathering before. They heard about the one-of-one ring, or they heard about the commander decks, and they saw their friends playing, and they decided to pick up their first commander deck. And those people are at the store. They're enjoying it. They come back in for more. They're still a little bit worried about getting into a local game store environment. They don't come to the major events. They don't come to that kind of stuff. But over time, with pre-releases and stuff, I'm really excited that Universes Beyond is bringing in new people, and that's a huge win, in my opinion, for Magic the Gathering. And this brings me up to what I hope to see happen with Magic over the next 5 years. I've said a lot on this channel. I anticipate that we see more Universes Beyond sets for Magic the Gathering than non-Universes Beyond sets over the next 5 years. At some point that will shift, and Magic the Gathering will become your average player will see Magic the Gathering as a game that utilizes other IPs. That'll be the kind of the thing that people see from the outside. I believe, this is speculation, that Magic will refocus Commander to Universes Beyond, like you're seeing with Doctor Who, like you're seeing with Warhammer, like you're seeing with Fallout. I think they will continue to focus Universes Beyond on Commander, and then we will start to see the standard Magic products go back to what they used to be. Go back to what I think you and I used to love, which is the Magic the Gathering environment, and we will see standard releases become a little bit more toned down. I still don't know exactly how they're going to sell it to like Commander players, but a little bit more toned down so that the standard environment is more fun, more enjoyable, more creative, and I think it's going to create another love again for that kind of older style of Magic the Gathering that we see. So that's my hypothesis of what they are doing. Meanwhile, you have then Commander, which becomes your flagship product, or their flagship product, where they have these Universes Beyond things that are bringing in a lot of people, and you can pick and choose as a consumer. You pick and choose, oh, I don't care about Doctor Who, so I'm not going to buy those Commander decks, but I see my friend over there who loves Doctor Who, and now they're finally getting into Magic the Gathering, and that excites me. So I think that's kind of what's going to happen. We'll see. The fact is, I mean, you can hate it, I can hate it, it doesn't matter who hates it. Universes Beyond has been hugely successful. Doctor Who was successful. That one amazed me. I don't care at all about Doctor Who. I don't want to play with Doctor Who, but it's been successful. It's brought people in. People are going crazy about it at a local level. They come in, they look at the decks, they get excited about it. And so for a lot of people, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. But I've swallowed the pill. I am now I understand what the direction is for Universes Beyond. That might lose me a lot of subs. That might make you angry. I'm sorry. This is where I am now. I've seen the way that it's working, and that's the future of Magic. And also, I would say the other positive with Magic is that they have been listening, in my opinion, they have been listening to the community. Maybe not on pricing. Like, pricing is still an issue, and I think that's probably, Hasbro or whatever. But with play booster boxes, we are seeing Magic respond to this idea that we have been saying for a long time. Community has been saying, there's too many SKUs. We're confused. We don't know what's in what. I think that the play boosters are a sign that they are understanding that they have gone too far, and they are bringing it back in. Again, I know price is still an issue. I agree that price is still an issue. Compared to inflation, you can get into all that. But at the end of the day, I think that they are aware that the community feels like there's too much going on. And so if you can segregate some stuff a little bit, where you have like Commander, and you can kind of learn and go into the Universes Beyond stuff like we were talking about there, I think there's a lot of ways that they are trying to reduce your wallet fatigue on an individual basis. And again, I think they're listening. I think that's the case. But, we'll see. Now, I want to get into some of the negatives, because I think there's a lot of valid stuff. And if you watched this far and you already clicked down because I was being positive on Magic, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. The number one thing that people walk into the store for isn't Magic. It's Pokemon. Very close second is Magic. And those are the things that people who walk into a game store are looking for and want. But here's some of the negative. I agree that vintage Magic and old Magic cards are being outpaced in the market by this new flashy stuff. And that's a little terrifying. It doesn't seem like the market, the vintage, the old, the reserveless market is holding up to the price increases that we are seeing from the average player that plays Magic. The average consumer, maybe not the average viewer on this channel or whatever, but the average consumer isn't spending $300 on a revised dual land. The average consumer is buying a booster box or a couple packs, or they're playing in draft. The average consumer is not... But the average consumer is paying more money in value than what a lot of the reserveless stuff is doing. As you're seeing, I guess what I'm trying to say, you're seeing the average consumer spend more, but the reserveless and other stuff is going down. And to me, that tells you that they are not converting at all new players, young players, to a more collectible side of the game, which bodes very poorly for the collectability of Magic. What we need, if you care about this stuff, right, the collectability of Magic, is for new players to turn and look at old stuff and be excited. And that's when you get the longevity of a collectible, when you can kind of have a younger generation look at the older generation stuff and say, oh, I like that, and I want that. And that's what creates this ecosystem of which things can be investable and collectible in a trading card game. Without that, and I don't see that happening, it makes vintage and old school Magic stuff not super appealing. Now, I, for one, believe that a lot of that is noise. I have still been actively buying reserveless stuff. I've been actively, as a store, excited when that stuff comes in. As a collector, I still collect a lot of stuff. You just saw I just got a Lotus. I tend to think that market transitions eventually into seeing and loving the old school stuff. This is one of the reasons why like retro frame foils do so well in the new products, because that nostalgia, though it may not exist for a new player, they can see how it's worked. So I don't know. We'll see. I think that's a lot of noise, but I think there is a lot of truth to why the old school stuff is a little bit downer now. End of the day, I do not expect any returns on Resort of the stuff throughout this year into early next year. If they shift the market a little bit, if they do some stuff, maybe things change. But I don't anticipate anything early or soon. So don't be a hero. Slow down. If you want some stuff, buy it. But don't think that you're going to make a lot of money off of all that. The other last thing is supply. Still just seems like outrageous. As a store, I have cut back on my orders because I can always get more, and that's just the way things are. As a consumer, you should probably be doing the same. If you are collecting sealed products still, wait until the absolute last minute to pick up your stuff. All right, so all in all, I think Magic's best year in a long time. You can hate me in the comment section for it. Tell me why I'm wrong. I would love to hear it. So let's go to Pokemon. It's kind of the opposite. One of Pokemon's worst years in since the pandemic, at least. This is, and I started all this in the pandemic, so I was around in the Pokemon boom. I was not around the Pokemon scene before the boom, right? That my Pokemon cards were up in my attic, and I went up to find them in the pandemic. That's my Pokemon story. But I got super into Pokemon. I collect a lot of Pokemon. I would venture to say my Pokemon collection is, and probably not as much as my Magic, but this is the softest I have seen Pokemon since I got involved in all of this. Pokemon seems very, very weak. This set, this whole, sorry, I should say, this whole release section, this whole block seems really, really weak. I still think that Sword and Shield era is doing pretty well. I think that there's been some reprints that have affected the market prices, but all in all, Sword and Shield era still seems pretty exciting, and people are still excited about that. We probably sell more packs of Sword and Shield era on a pack to pack basis than we do on the Scarlet and Violet. But at the end of the day, things are definitely looking weak. 151 came out and it was a massive success on like the ETB release, but they split the release and they had ETBs and then they had the ultra premium collections. I think that slowed the market down, quite a bit. The Pokemon ecosystem, though, I think, and the way I see it, at least, is more of a oversupply issue than it is a lack of demand issue. The demand for Pokemon still seems, in my opinion, at an all-time high. I mean, like, I was involved in Pokemon way back in 99, 2000. I remember the excitement, and like the excitement that I remember is what I hear a lot of parents and kids talk about, and parents ask me all the time, is this just some hype thing? I'm like, no, my mom was asking the same thing 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And I think that right now the Pokemon demand is still ridiculously high. But at the other side, Pokemon bought their printers and they are just churning out product right now. And they're shoving it down stores' throats. And when you were before, I was ordering 100 boxes and I was getting 6. Now, if I order 200 boxes, I'll get 200 boxes, and my rep will be like, "Do you want more boxes?" I mean, the supply is just crazy. But we saw a little bit of this in the Chilling Reign era of Sword and Shield. And now Chilling Reign is $140 a box or something like that. It has bounced back. So I still believe that Pokemon over time is a really great, if you can get product right now at below distro costs on TCG Player and eBay, I think over time it's a really, really strong investment in terms of, again, not financial advice, but in terms of what we've seen the market do on Pokemon in history. The massive demand still exists for the game, and you will have hype cycles where the content creation around Pokemon it gets a little nuts. Like when Logan Paul got involved, we joke on the podcast a couple times. Podcast on Friday mornings if you're interested in watching. Can you imagine if Taylor Swift opened Pokemon cards, what that would do for like the hype and the excitement of the Pokemon ecosystem, Pokemon has that almost no other game. Magic has it a little bit with like Post Malone, right? But like the accessibility for Magic is that you have to then go learn and play. Whereas Pokemon, people come in all the time to the store with their girlfriend or with their wife or whatever, and they just buy packs and hang out and open because they see these influencers all around doing it. So Pokemon has that, and I think don't sleep on that. Pokemon is doing all right. So the last thing with Pokemon is that the polls are simply too easy. Right now, this Scarlet and Violet era, the polls for the high-end cards are way too easy. And if they fix that, that will increase the demand for the cards. If they fix that, I think that will go a long way. So I am anticipating with these new sets coming out, eventually they will shift and it will become harder to pull the chase card, which will then drive more sales and create more demand. It's not real demand, I guess it's a little bit artificial demand for those boxes, and we'll start seeing the market shift a little bit. That's what I anticipate to happen. So, all right. I gotta go pick up my kid here in a second, but let's keep going. Sorcery beta is coming out in what? 20 days, 10 days, 15 days, something like that. We are doing, if you're available, and if you're looking to come down to West Virginia, we're a couple hours away from some major cities. We're doing a beta release on November 11th. Want to invite everybody out there to the store on November 11th. We're going to do a free beta pre-con. You're going to get a pre-con and be able to play in the event for free. Beta is the key to Sorcery's success. This is a big moment. This is, Alpha was a Kickstarter, and like I look at Kickstarters as kind of like you had to be there, right? Like you had to be there that month. You can't pick it up later. You're paying way high. It's the same thing with board games, right? Like you kickstart a board game, you get some really special stuff. You had to be there. Now you can't. So like beta, in my opinion, is the real official release. I know Alpha had 29,000 boxes. I get it, whatever. But beta is like the official release where you can walk into a store and hope to see, if you're a consumer, hope to see Sorcery on shelves. It's just a little bit ridiculous on either end to expect a store to sell Alpha for $150 when the market's $700, and it's a little bit ridiculous to ask a consumer to spend $700 when the MSRP is $150. So beta should be in this way. I will see beta as a success, in my opinion, if you can go into a store and beta boxes are between $120 and $180. That threshold, that window on the market price, I think will be a huge success because it makes the game accessible for the consumer. And when people see Sorcery as an accessible game, when it's a thing that they can actually pick up and play and open, you're going to see the width of Sorcery grow a ton. The depth of Sorcery is huge. People who like Sorcery are all in. They are, man, like all in like I haven't seen in another trading card game probably ever. Like they are dumping all into Sorcery. But the width is the thing that Sorcery needs to work on right now. And I think with the beta release, that's fair, and that's what they're going to do. And so when the game becomes accessible, all of a sudden you can see it growing wide. And when people are picking up and actually able to play and experience it, they're going to see that it's not just an art project. It's not just a collectible game piece. It's not just nude Frazetta artwork. It's actually super fun to play. And the mechanics, it feels, I've been describing it to some people in my store, it feels like Magic the Gathering meets chess, or Magic the Gathering meets like Warhammer. And the feeling when you're playing is just, it's just super good. It's a little bit of a large learning curve, I will say that. It's been a little bit tough to pick up. It's not a game that you pick up after your second or third time playing. There's a lot of mechanics that are different and interesting. It's deep and it's fun and it's exciting, and I think it's going to go a long way. So again, I think the success is 120 to 180. I think that kind of box price for the first couple months will be a really big win, and then we'll see what Sorcery has planned. Do they want to do a wave 2? Do they want to do some sort of restock of beta, or do they move to an unlimited before Arthurian Legends? And then how will they promote Arthurian Legends? What will they be doing, and what will the size of the set be, and what's the release cadence like? All that stuff will be revealed to us, and I think it'll be interesting to figure that out. So if you can walk into an LGS and pick it up, I think that's going to be really exciting. Now, here's the kicker too. Everyone's so focused on prices of product, and that's fair. It's an easy metric to follow. For me, Sorcery is more about the success of Sorcery will be if if there is people creating content for the game. That is a huge win that I think often gets overlooked from a consumer standpoint. If you want to engage with a hobby like Sorcery, like Magic, like whatever, you often can't go to a local game store all the time to play in an event and to do whatever. So one of the ways that you engage with the hobby is by watching content creators. And if nobody is making content, then you cannot enjoy and engage with that hobby as much as you would like. And so one of the things I'm hoping for Sorcery is that as people get more and more product, and as people are able to actually learn the game and are able to actually experience the game, we see, and we're already seeing this, but we see more and more content being created around the game. The more content that's created around the game, in my opinion, the ecosystem really warms up and things can go really well for the whole thing. The game, the stores, the players, the consumers, it can go really well. For the players, you'll see more players at event. For the stores, you'll see a move of product. For Sorcery, they get to make more product. It's just I think that's the key. More content being created around the game will go a long way. So my encouragement to you is if you are a content creator, make some Sorcery content. Let's get that going. The last thing with Sorcery, LGSs are really important. Your game store is really important, but at the end of the day, I really think Sorcery lives and dies on the success at a home kitchen table. Maybe not a kitchen table, but if Sorcery can create a game that people want to play at home with their friends, and it becomes this like kind of like Commander is, right? Where you want to come over for a Commander night, and people come over and play. I think that that's going to go a lot further than the LGS side. Not that the LGS, not that it can't be work in an LGS. The game there's been some criticism of the game. It doesn't. Once you learn the game and once you've figured it out, you can get a full game in 20 to 30 minutes. It happens all the time. It can work. It will work on an LGS, and I'm excited for it at my LGS. But the vast majority of people who play card games, in my opinion, play card games at home. And so you want to create an ecosystem where it is fun to play the game at home and in multiplayer formats. So I think that that's another thing. I'm looking at Sorcery and saying, how does this work at a kitchen table? How does this work when we see a 4-player variant come? Is that exciting? Do people get excited about that? Those are the things that I'm really looking for with Sorcery. Beta release, you're going to have Rudy making videos. That's going to go a long way for the content perspective, for the algorithms and all that stuff. So Sorcery looking really good, looking really exciting. It'll be interesting to see what happens to alpha and beta as more people come into the world. So, all right, Lorcana, we're moving along. Lorcana, where is Wave 2? Like, this is one of the things, it's so frustrating because they have such a massive, entry point of success. They come out and there's a bunch of people excited for it, and they can't provide any amount of product for those people. I can't tell you how many people I have had to respond to emails or texts or Discord messages, or they come into the store and they want Lorcana and they want to play Lorcana. They're not even just trying to invest. They're not even trying to just flip. They want to play Lorcana and they can't as a result of them just not having product. And listen, I get it. That happens. You're a new game. You undershot the demand. I accept that. But the more that you delay, the less that you have those people coming into the game. And at some point, 5 out of 10 or 2 out of 20 or whatever, at some point, some percentage of those people say, okay, I can't get product. I'm just done, and I'm not going to play this game anymore. I'm not going to invest the time and the energy into this game. And you lose consumers. And at that rate, you're losing who you want, which is the player. Right now, you're not losing the collector and the investor. The collector and investor, they've been eating, right? But you're losing the player. And so what's going to happen is eventually they will get the supply figured out. But if you've lost a large percentage, or 20% or 30% of the people who were your organic demand of people who actually wanted to play the game, if you've lost them, now all of a sudden you have overprinted And now you lose all the collectors and the investors and whatever, and you lose this whole ecosystem. So I think Ravensburg, whatever their name is, Lorcana needs to get boxes in the hands. I'm not saying they need to overprint and oversaturate the market or print it to the demand, but we haven't had anything since the initial wave one. It's been now like 2 months of hey, yeah, it's coming next week. Hey, yeah, it's coming next week. Distro is now starting to be like, well, we thought we were getting it, but we didn't get it. And now you have set 2 that's coming out, and it seems like, the rumor is, it seems like set 2 is already there, and we're not even getting a restock of set 1 potentially before set 2. Now, again, maybe they get it before then, but set 2 is coming out in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's a little bit frustrating from a store perspective. And I know from a consumer's perspective, it's frustrating as well. So they have to get that figured out, or they're going to lose the interest that is the organic, excited interest. That being said, demand is through the roof. I mean, I can't tell you how excited people are for these cards, and I miss that massively. I don't know. Listen, I missed it. I said, like, who wants to fight Mickey against, Donald Duck? Who wants to do that? Like, who wants to play a game with the 2 characters you love? Or just, it's like, I'm wrong. People love it. It's exciting. The gameplay is pretty fun. And somebody's called it the other day in the store Magic Light. It's not. Like, it's a different game. The mechanics are fun. I think it's got legs. If the company creating it, if Lorcana can create an authentic TCG experience, and if their focus on board games and stuff doesn't hinder them from doing things like putting a seal on the product and having packs that aren't weighable, those are the types of things that over a long term can frustrate consumers and hurt the market, especially when it's not free Tendy Town, right? Where you're printing MSRPs $140 and boxes are selling for $400. Nobody can complain at that rate because, like, you're making money. I don't know. So it's interesting. Lorcana is going to be a wild one next year. It's going to be a wild one. That's going to be the biggest question mark of next year from the TCG world, in my opinion, is how does Lorcana look at the end of 2020? What is it? 2024? How does Lorcana look at the end of 2024? Right? This year's 2023. What year is it? Anyway, all right. OP. One Piece is going crazy. One Piece is stupid hot. People are really excited. You're seeing Paramount War, their second set. Boxes are at like $170. Now, this has been a set that we have seen reprints coming in and waves coming in. Box prices went down to $100, and now they've shot right back up to $170. The demand for One Piece is huge, and I think I've kind of finally gotten a grasp on why. The gameplay is so fast. We run events on Saturdays for One Piece. And like the time that it takes for a Magic event, it's like 2 rounds for a Magic event equal the entire One Piece event. Like, the rounds are quick, the games are fast, they're done in 20 minutes. You sit down, you play, and everyone enjoys it. They play as a quick game, and then they're talking about the anime, and they're talking about the different cards, and they're talking about the collecting. And I think that the quickness of the game, if they can continue to make a game that is fast-paced and exciting, is going to continue to draw in almost all of the I'll call it, for lack of, I don't know, the Japanese TCG crowd, right? The people who like the anime TCGs, anything that Bandai makes, like that whole crowd is just laser focused on One Piece right now. And there's a couple other stuff going on, Digimon, there's a couple, like whatever, but right now it is One Piece or bust, and you're starting to see the non-Bandai fans come in from different communities into the One Piece ecosystem. And I missed this one. It's embarrassing on the channel when you look back on 2 years and I never talked about One Piece. And now I see the way that it's working at the store and the way that it's working on the market, and people are collecting the cards and whatever. Listen, it's the demand and excitement is crazy, and it's crazy because the crowd is so young. The demographic of the crowd is that, like, younger, high school, college, young adult, that demographic is really eating up One Piece right now. And that's really good for the future, in my opinion. Now, there are some concerns. Number one, it's a Bandai game. And Bandai tends to have 4, 5, 6 sets, and then the game kind of drops off. I don't believe that we've seen Bandai recently handle a franchise that's quite as big as One Piece. We'll see how it goes. But it's young, it's fast-paced, and it is good. The last thing about One Piece, the wave order system is really weird. You have to put in, basically from distro, instead of it being allocated and the company knowing how many boxes, it's like you order and you're supposed to get, if you order 100 boxes, you're supposed to get 100 boxes. And you're ordering 6, 8, 10 months in advance. I don't remember exactly what it is. You're ordering way in advance. I think right now we're pre-ordering OP6. OP4 just came out. It's a really weird system for a store. I don't like it. But it shows the demand for the game, and it's cool. So we'll keep talking about that a little bit on the channel. Last thing, indie TCGs, the rest of them, kind of the general consensus, and the big thing that I'm seeing in the conversations is money, money, money. It's all about, can these games withstand what is happening right now, which is that the demand for TCGs and the money that's coming in from the consumer is lower as a result of the current economic stuff. And so the indie TCGs are selling less boxes. You can see this on TCG Player. You can see this on just the amount of content being created for games. You can see that there's evidence of this, that the number of boxes being sold is decreasing on each set for a lot of these indie TCGs. And I think the big question for them is, can they withstand as a company the lack of money coming in? If distro was ordering, let's use a small one, right? If distro was ordering 8,000 boxes of your TCG, and now distro is looking to order 4,000, or if distro was ordering 100,000 boxes of your TCG, and now they're looking to order 40,000, that is a huge reduction in the amount of boxes that you as a company are selling. And if you have scaled your company up to match that demand, and now all of a sudden you don't have the cash flow, and this is where we're going to start seeing a lot of the smaller indie TCGs really have to pull money out of their pockets, or they're just going to go away. And that's sad, because a lot of the games are super fun and a lot of the people are really awesome creating them. But if they can withstand the next year, I think eventually things turn around and we're going to see some stuff go. So games growing too fast have increased risk, in my opinion. Some of the games that grew a little slower and didn't take the huge step forward probably have a bigger chance of success, in my opinion, if they don't just give up. But the financial side, their risk level is probably lower. So small games need money. And at the end of the day, if they don't have money, they can't produce the cards, they can't produce the stuff. So those are my thoughts on the indie TCGs leading up to Christmas, or on all the TCGs leading into Christmas. We're going to see some wild stuff. We're going to see some more sales from distro. We're going to see a lot of excitement for different things. Let me know what you agree, you disagree with in the comment section. Thank you to all the patrons and to all the people who watch the videos. You guys are amazing. Have yourselves a great day. Be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.